thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Um, what has been going on, it is not something new to any one of us. We all know, since the National Assembly decided to come up with the bill, you know what has been happening. And I also learned that this is not the first time you've been working on this thing for a very long time. How do you feel that something that you have labored for, it is now on the verge of, going down, is being touched? How do you feel?
Well, I don't feel good about it because this is something that has to do, if I am going to be very specific, I think this interview is about asking me issues on the FGM saga that is currently happening in the Gambia. Like you rightly said, Gamputrap is the leading organization that has been fighting the fight to end female genital mutilation and promoting women and children's rights, and also creating awareness on harmful traditional practices that affect the sexual and reproductive health rights of women. Well, seeing this endeavor going down the drain is not something that we appreciate, for the fact that there is quite a lot of years of advocacy and community social mobilization, creating awareness about the practice and ensuring that people get the right information to make the right decisions and come up with decisions for themselves. And this is what we have done. Through the processes, we have been in the field for more than 35 years, almost coming to 40, and reaching out. There is nowhere in the Gambia, in all the regions, that you will go and mention Gamputrap without people knowing, telling you. We have targeted different target groups, and we've worked particularly with chiefs, traditional leaders, community leaders, religious leaders, women of reproductive age, ex-circumcisers, and many, many other target groups within the community. Because we know that this is a tradition, and we agree that it is our tradition. But tradition and culture also changes. And the only way we can change culture, or we can improve on our culture or tradition, is to ensure that we reach out to the people, create their awareness, work with them, give them the evidence, and also try to agree to addressing these issues. Now, addressing these issues means giving the evidence. We have looked at it from various levels, using different modules from the health perspective, from religious dimension, from culture and tradition, from women's rights, children's rights, and also from the viewpoint of the circumcisers. And through that advocacy, we have heightened knowledge about the harm it does on the sexual and reproductive health rights of women. So this is what brought in the law. The law was not brought in by Gamputrap or individuals. It was as a result of awareness, knowledge, and consciousness raising. So seeing the effects, using different strategies that made people to say we have to put a law in this so that we protect the girl child and some children who are victims of this. Of course, having reached that level, we were able to have a law in place, and it is the responsibility of the law bearers, and that is the government, to ensure that this law remains and being strengthened to protect the innocent girl about FGM. So we would not like to see it repealed, because it's not about us. Our generation has passed. We are now fighting for the generation of the young people like you, boys and girls, young children, to be protected from harmful practices, because culture is on a continuum. It changes with time, and there were so many cultures that were practiced in the Gambia, and they are now even dead. Many people don't even know that they existed. Why is it that FGM is a problem? Now, one thing I want to say here is that they have been associating FGM with Islam, and it's really disheartening. This has nothing to do with our religion. It is more of culture and tradition rather than religion. Because the arguments they are giving about the religion, you go to the Quran, it's not there. When you talk about the hadith, it's a science. People just go about reading. There are millions and millions of hadiths which are being said that the prophet said, and which have been proven not to be true. You understand? And since that is the case, even the hadith that they are associating FGM with, they are all weak. They are not authenticated. And the fact that it affects the health of women and girls, I think there is need for that change, and that was why the law is there. If it was about religion, we would never have reached a law, because I will not undermine or question my religion. I'm a Muslim, like any other person, and a practicing Muslim. You understand? And therefore, we have done extensive research. This is work that I have done in my master's thesis, and I did extensive research into it. And I have seen what is going on, and I am a victim. So I am speaking from the position of a survivor and from the position of a woman who have gone through the practice and felt that it should not happen to any other woman. I did not do it to my 3 girls, and I have a responsibility and duty to also educate others who are vulnerable to know why I decided to stop and why we are bringing that. And the whole world is talking about that direction. We need positive change. And I think women need to be given that specific responsibility and recognition. They are stepping into traditions and culture to say that it cannot change. That is wrong. And the women are not speaking. It is the National Assembly members and some few religious scholars who are talking. Some National Assembly members and some religious scholars who are talking. You understand? So let's see. I'm not happy about it, indeed. And I did not expect that this should happen in a civilized society, as we are moving now. Those days, girls' education was a taboo, even male education in our society. But now we've seen men going to school, women going to school. A lot of things were happening then, and these changes are occurring. Should change not come for women, for their health and well-being? So these are the issues. I felt very, very disappointed that the Gambia should have gone beyond that, and I am disappointed that people who are supposed to make the law, to lead the people and protect the people and come up with progressive laws that will protect and will protect the girl child, the vulnerable groups, are the laws that they are rescinding. I don't see any hope for the Gambia if this law is repealed by these National Assembly members, because the premises on which they base this is wrong. It's not religion, and I still stand by it.
Recently also, it has been clear that some of them, they will make it clear that FGM is not practiced in the country here. They said it is female circumcision, not FGM, not mutilation. What do you have to say?
It is a matter of semantics. You see, it's very difficult to talk to a group of people who don't do research or who don't actually take time to investigate what is female circumcision and what is circumcision and what is female genital mutilation. So that one, I leave it to the academics, and I want to leave it to those who understand and have done research, because I will be saying something futile. Listening to them, having been to the National Assembly, I have been to the National Assembly. I have heard the debates and the trends of the debate and what they are talking about. You understand? Circumcision has been clearly explained. You understand? It's not cutting off an organ. It's removal of a hood for a man. But it's not called for a woman. What happens to a woman is to remove the most essential organ for her reproductive activity. What makes her a woman? That is what is mutilated. And there is already scientific evidence that have led to that and why it is called female genital mutilation. So politicizing the terminology is not important. What is important is to make sure you understand the trajectory and what happens to the body of the woman, of a healthy organ for that matter. So I don't want to go in depth into that, because you want to speak to people who will understand it more.
So my next question, probably you've already answered it, but I'll just let
go ahead.
Ask it. Yeah, so the mover, Al-Mama Giba, he said at the end of his submission that the practice will be done causally and might be
medicalization.
Medical expert and so on. Are you ready to consider this alternative if at all the bill has been repealed?
I think you all know that there is zero tolerance to FGM. And I don't think any medical practitioner in the Gambia and even in the world would encourage or facilitate that for any woman, knowing that the mantra is do no harm. You must not touch any healthy organ for no reason. You understand? So it is not something that is the WHO standards are zero tolerance to FGM. The Inter-Africa Committee and all other advocates against FGM is zero tolerance to FGM, zero tolerance to violence against women, and zero tolerance to sexual and gender-based violence. We need to have zero tolerance to protect women and men from harmful practices that are taking place. So for people to think about medicalization, even the WHO will not accept it. Even our hospitals will not accept it, because they know on a daily basis they are seeing what women face, contributing to the fact that some of their problems are associated with FGM. You understand? Some of it is associated with FGM. I don't think any medical person who has been trained and knows the substance of the physiology and physiology and anatomy of the individual will go and cut a healthy organ and say that we should go to the hospital for it to be medicalized. I don't think so. I really have a very strong belief that these are people who are highly educated, who are highly trained, and I'm sure they are not going to encourage it. Medicalization is zero tolerance to FGM. We have a zero tolerance to FGM, and I don't believe even the health sector will even allow or encourage that. The World Health Organization has a clear standard procedure on that.
So the alternative of medicalizing it is
yes, it's zero. It's not. And if they even bring it in the bill, we might as well throw the bill out. Medicalization is zero. We have zero tolerance. It's a pity that we are not hearing our medical health sector talking about it, contributing to it. Maybe they are doing it behind the scene. But I think as authorities and people who are in the field and know what is going on and know it better from a health point of view should come out stoically to talk about it and not to keep quiet and talking, contributing from within the periphery. There should have been a clear standpoint, even if it was Islam that prescribed it, and they have found evidences of destruction of the health and well-being of women. Their voices will stand higher than what is than the Sharia. That is, I think, that is well known. But then, if there is silence, nothing is happening, nobody is talking. I just cannot understand how we can safeguard our women and protect them from these harmful practices that is contributing to the poor maternal mortality and infant mortality rates in the Gambia.
Well, the law has been passed for 2015.
8 years now, 9 years.
Yeah, so we've only seen only 3 prosecutions for that range. What do you think might be the cause of this? Because people have been practicing it from before it was banned and so on. When it banned as well, people still continue to do it.
Yes, what is happening is that change is on a continuum. When you bring in change, it doesn't happen automatically. As people are learning to understand their culture and their traditions and also bring in change, so also change takes a process in which people have to accept the fact that it is moving. It is the most constant that you can see that people will change. Now, we found a society, we were all part of the society that was doing it. I did not do it to my children because I was educated, I had the information, I was empowered, and I decided to protect my children. So change started with me, and any other person who understands would start with your own child. Now, gradually, we have been doing awareness. That's why Gamco Trap goes into grassroots activism to reach out to the people, work with them, discuss with them, talk with them and create awareness, bring the evidence and listen to their voices, listen to their questions so that we make clarifications and bring the experts that are relevant to their questions to respond to them and show them the evidence. So we've been doing that, and that is all the past process of bringing change. And that was why people are changing. Now, there are people, when change comes, there will be few who will be resisting. And that is why the law is very critical in making sure that it is there. Because if I tell you don't do this, and this is harmful, or you are not supposed to do this, you understand, to another person. Some people are saying that we should allow people to do it, make it optional. How can you make it optional when you have the decision over the child when she was born? Up to the time they become 18, you have the voice over them. You can't do anything on them. Because if it is optional, your option means, I want to circumcise my girl, you will go. But if the law is there, that will protect you, and that will protect the girl, and that will prevent you or deter you from doing that. And I think this is what needs enforcement of the law. What is happening is that we, as Gamco Trap, when we left, you have the advocates, you have people who came out, you know of Imam Babali, Ami Bojang Sisaho, Mary Small, you understand, Mami Kurang. You have had other grassroots activists right there in the community where we have built their capacity, also working with us. They are running here and there to do the work. But then over time, Gamco Trap was able to build a critical mass of young organizations, youth groups, youth organizations, women-led, youth-led, to be able to engage so that they amplify their voices and become engaged with this process and protect. Now, when I went to take up responsibility. The change occurred, and I was invited in the coalition to serve as part of the government. And many of my staff also left. You understand? Now, we left a critical mass for sustainability. Now, what happened between that time or the other? Because we used to go in the communities. We would spend 5-10 days there. We would spend 3 days, minimum 1 day, to go and reach out to the communities and try to work with them and let them understand that we are part of them. Now, that was not happening, I believe. If it is happening, it must be to a minimal. And as a result, people were not getting information. And when habits die hard, people are likely to revert back when they look at left and right and they're sure that Gamco Trap is not going to be here, because we are monitoring constantly. We have more than 300 community-based facilitators who are in all the regions, and they are always communicating with each other. They know when circumcision is likely to happen, and then they go there to talk to the circumcisers. We have educated the circumcisers. They have voluntarily abandoned the knife, and they were given some businesses to do based on their choices. So you will find that change has taken place, and I believe that those people are not going to go back, but there will be people who will be defaulting. So that change, what happened between the time I left up to the time I came, because it was only when I came back and we started giving effective monitoring that we discovered that some pockets are doing it. But then we called a meeting, we discussed, and most of them renewed their commitment that they are not going to circumcise, and that this is a foregone case because they know what is involved. They know what is there, and now that the religious clarifications have been made, it would not have been a law. You understand? So this is what is happening, and I believe that what needs to be done is that funds should be given to organizations that are known to perform, that are really passionate about it, that are committed to reaching out to the communities. It's nice to be on TikTok. It's nice to be on the internet, but it is better if we go to the communities and talk to the people, because that's where the practice happens. That's where everything happens behind the scenes. And that is where the people need to get the information to make the right decisions and the right choices for it to go. So what does that mean? Community social mobilization, sensitization, awareness raising, consciousness raising, follow-up, and monitoring. That is what it requires, and that is what the organization is doing. Even when this saga started, we heard about it. We decided to go back to the people. We've done the policy dialogue here in November, and the circumcisers came. You have some chiefs that came to represent the fraternity of all the chiefs, and we have heard what they have said. So for me, it's all about educating, communicating, and reaching out to the people. That is what Gamco Trap stands for, and that's what we will continue to do, taking the evidence and making the evidence to show and so on, and to create awareness. When people are empowered, they call for change, and this is what happened in this case.
So one of the questions that, or one of the things that Pro FGM, I always say that behind your activities and so on, it is the West. They are the one, pushing you, sponsoring you, and so on. What do you have to say?
Everything that has to do with women's rights or progress for women is the West they blame. Is any Westerner coming to talk about FGM in the communities? Have you ever seen that? You have hardly you would see it. It is not the West. All projects, all countries, all over the world will have to work. The world is a global village, and the West and the South, the North and the East are all the same in supporting each other for progressive development. You understand? Our African countries depend on the West for a lot of their things. But when it comes to specific issues that women's rights are being brought in, then they start blaming those advocates who are fighting. I appreciate what the West is doing, because they are not forcing us to do whatever we want to do. They are working with us to support us in bringing progress to what we are doing. And I am very grateful. If it was not for the West, we would not have been saying, even these things you are holding and all the equipment that are with you, isn't it, are they not technology? Where does it emanate from mostly? It's from the West. So when it comes to women's rights issues, and women are making strategic advancement, so they start blaming leaders who are leading those processes, blaming them and saying that they are conniving with the West. I have been accused of the fact that the West is using me for their ends, and that's not true. They have been supporting the work that the government is doing, and we are an NGO. Under the NGO, our duty is to support the state in calling it to accountability, in supporting the work it is supposed to be do, to contribute our own arena, because it's not everywhere that the state can reach. But NGOs can reach to the communities, they can educate the people, and they can remind the state that this is what you said when you sign the conventions, because the government has signed all the state signs conventions on women and children's rights, part of which is FGM, early marriage, and all forms of violence against women in different articles, and has made commitments to do so, and even in the Constitution. So if we are out, if we say we are going to do all the Article 4 specifically explains to the state what it is supposed to do, and the state's commitment to what it has agreed to do. So our duty is to complement that and to support the state, raising funds. Where can we raise the funds? From partners who share our vision, who are ready to support us to do it. So why is it that when women's rights issues or children's rights are brought in, or youth are brought in, all this issue is being influenced by the West? Are they not part of the population? Are we not supposed to give attention to them? Are we not supposed to support them, empower them? Are we not supposed to protect them? This is what GAMCO TRAP stands for. And me personally, I am committed to bringing in progress for young people, for women and girls, because they form the core elements of the society, and these are going to be the leaders, or are even leaders now. You are leaders. You are taking leadership to come and talk to me, and I'm very happy to. I want to appreciate all of you. When I saw you and I saw you are young people, I think there is hope. You understand? And this is what is needed. So blaming the West is just to try to get out of the problem, but the West has nothing to do, but they are supporting, and we appreciate what the West is doing, and we will go to the West if we need funds, and if they are ready to give us the funds, we will continue to do the work we do, because our governments all over also depend on the West for support to even pay their salaries and many other development projects. So this is also a development project to promote gender equality, women's empowerment, and progress for the vulnerable to move forward. So the West should not be blamed. Let them not use the West as scapegoats.
So now the bill has now been referred to the committee at the National Assembly. Are you hopeful that if they should come back to the National Assembly, what you stand for will remain, that is, the bill will not be repealed?
I am looking at what I saw the last time on the 18th. I was there. I observed the deliberations. It was not impressive. This is my personal view. People who we felt are being chosen to make laws for the country. Progressive laws irrespective of what that will promote the freedom and fundamental rights of vulnerable people, protect them, create a safe environment and safeguard their interests. Standing up to talk like that and saying that it is our religion, it's disappointing. Honestly, it's very, very disappointing. Disappointing in the sense that we all know the Quran is the main reference book for all Muslims. And looking at the fact that you have a Gambian population that has 90% Muslims, and not all the Muslims are doing it, in itself should send some critical thinking and signals to people we choose. Because by saying that this is our religion, you are now insulting those ethnic groups that are not practicing it. You are not now saying that they are not Muslims, they are not clean, and even some derogatory description of some of those people that if you are not circumcised, you are not clean, you smell, you do this. There were so many things that were, without looking at the nature of the population, and that those people who are around, who are Muslims also, are not practicing it. Because if you are sending someone to the National Assembly to represent you, the person must be a critical thinker. The person must try as much as possible to look at what is in the best interest of the polity. And based on that, you try to do your research to find out whether really what they are saying. Then they were now putting it onto the hadith. The hadith is a science. And we all know that there are weak and strong hadiths. And then you have those that are authenticated and those that are not authenticated. And we already know that there is a lot of evidence that is lying out there that have analyzed, that have discussed, and have written about those hadiths, and even came to conclusion about them. They did not show that level of scholarly understanding or reasonable understanding in what they were saying, and everybody, and standing in the National Assembly. This is, going to be there for history to judge. because we are now in technology. Now, when these young women and people who were there sitting down to what came to realize that this is not true, how are we going to blame our state? These are the type of people that I have seen there. Most of them, not everybody. I beg to just qualify my analysis. But what I saw that day, those who were pushing for the repeal of the bill, if the arguments that they put on words, what is there? Do you think I or Gamco Trap or any other organization that was there that day? You have different organizations that were there. Would you think we will undermine our religion? Are they more religious than us? That's what I have seen. And then the quality of arguments is pathetic. This is my personal view. This is based on the analysis I saw on that day, and I start asking myself, is this the quality we have in the house? It's not everybody. There were people who stood stoically to defend it, and I want to thank them for standing on the right side of history. History will judge every one of them there, but they will be in the history because people are capturing these things. It's in the internet, it's everywhere. So when people go out to do further research, and I urge the young people to go out and do their research and see whether their National Assembly members were speaking in their favor or was bringing in progress for them. For the women, it's a pity that most the people who are affected mostly are not educated, and in very remote places, they do not have access to all these opportunities. So that's where Gamco Trap is relevant, and other organizations who are coming out to fight and help them understand to make the right decision. And once they have the knowledge, they will be empowered. And that is what happened with the law. Now, if they are coming, I believe, if they are coming to say that they are going to revisit this thing, I believe it's political. It has nothing to do with commitment to advance progressive development. Playing on the ignorance of some of the people they think don't understand and who are still practicing it to support them when they come out. You see, I have brought back the FGM law. This is what so the question you are asking, and the reason why I'm doing this analysis, is important for people to know that we are still in the era of ignorance. And we are still in an era where people want to play on people's ignorance to ride on them and move forward. I don't think you young people should allow that. I don't think women should allow that. And we have to work hard to make Gambia progressive and bring progress to the country. So the type of people you are going to bring, if this law is repealed, I think they will be repealing their seats. This is what I believe, because I know the truth will prevail. We have heard scholars, we have heard voices who know what they are, who have listened to them and said what is wrong in the Gambia. People with the international community, people like us, and many people in the country who are educated and are bringing their voices and talking about it will not, I don't think all that will go like that. The people are not stupid. They think women are sleeping. Women are not sleeping. Young people are not sleeping. And we must work hard to help these people bring in progressive laws that will be there to guide them for their future. But not to sit down there and ride on the positions we are having, wanting to preserve my position. So I am going to be quiet. I am not going to talk anything. Then I will go back to the community and tell them that, you see, this is what I did for you. I don't think that is right. So I don't know what they have the right, because people brought them there to go and serve them. Now, they have all the rights to take it to the committee. And that is what happened. You understand? And in the name of democracy, so-called democracy that we say, people try to ride on that to say we should allow people to do it optional. It cannot be optional because it's about life. It's a life-threatening exercise, practice. And it has been proven to be dangerous. And now that knowledge is established, I think the right quarters should rise and talk about it and protect this bill to go. They have right to say whatever they do. Let them go out and talk to the people. When you go to the ones that are enlightened, they will get the right information. But if they choose to go to where places that people have not reached yet, the likelihood is that's what they know. They will say it should be there. But then the state has to take its responsibility in making sure that this is about the law. It has nothing to do with religion. If it was about religion, it would not reach the stage of a law. Because you go through processes. And if it was our religion, I will never come out, and many other people will not come out. Who is more religious than Imam Babali, who comes from a line of imamates, and who is also fighting, and many, many others who are out there in the rural areas, who are highly educated and know that it is not in the Quran and it's not in any authentic hadith. And now, based on the evidence that the medical evidence is there, and all what it takes. I think we should try to promote progress in this country. We should try to promote what is best for the youth. If we are 100 years back, during the time, FGM predates all monotheistic religions. It was during the period of darkness. It was during the period of Jahiliyyah. Now we have come out of that state and we are moving. It takes time to change, but change is happening. Why should it stop? Or why should women not be given the chance? Why should our children not be protected? My children are not circumcised. They are Mandinka. They have all gone to university. They have finished their university. They are all doing whatever they want to do. So these are some of the things that we wish our children to do. And those women and men sitting out of country doesn't mean that they love to remain where they are. They want change. Now that change can come only when we support them, when we guide them, when we work with them and empower them. You understand? But then people want to ride on people's ignorance. The women also don't have access to information. And then this is our tradition, this is our culture, this is our... And the most disappointing thing is the religious dimension they are bringing there when there are other ethnic groups in this country who don't do it, and they are devout Muslims. How do you see that contradiction? Are they thinking? Then you have the insults. I have been one of the most insulted women in this country for standing on for women and children's rights and the rights of young people. Because they said we are trying to encourage a lot of things, giving this and so on. I said, look, everything has a stage. We have almost over 65% people who are young. When you disaggregated by gender, male and female, then we should be concerned that we should bring them up and try to do the best we can to make the environment better for them to be leaders tomorrow and not to let them sip into darkness. They said, ignorance is not good. And we want to move forward with all the education that we have, with all the educational institutions. You have the universities that are coming. We are having colleges that are coming. We are trying to bring people who don't understand in that National Assembly. Wallahi, if we do it, we'll be in trouble. And I want you people to understand that it has implications for the future direction of the Gambia. The world is moving. We must move. Bringing in these unprogressive laws, it's something that has existed for 8-9 years now. You now come and just pick it up. It's not about anything, but it's politics. And women's bodies are not the arena for politics. No, you should not allow that. It's your sisters, your mothers, your aunties, your wives, and others who are going to be there. And we must think about progress for our population. If not, we will be left behind. I feel very sorry, very disheartened. I got all sorts of insults. The organization has been threatened. A lot of things have happened. And they are talking a lot, but we will continue to do our work. Our work is to go out, raise funds, whether it is from the West, from our government, from any individual, any philanthropist who has the money. If you give it to us, we will do the needful to ensure that the law is not repealed, to create awareness and educate the people, to make sure that we move in a progressive trajectory and not to bring us back 200 years back. I don't think this is the right thing. And it's not promising. That National Assembly. And interestingly, those that I have seen there, some of them have been consultants for Gamco doing the training of the ex-circumcisers. We pay them as consultants. They were representing our parent body. They came and they went with us in every nook and corner of the country to do the training. Some of them were trained and given certificates as a community-based facilitator. Some benefited from the training. So if those people are standing up to repeal the law, then what sort of Gambia are we calling about?
How do you feel when you see such happening?
It's disappointment. I am disappointed. Because these are the people we thought would stand up as champions. Because they have been empowered, they have been exposed, they have got everything it took, and we have worked with them in different scenarios, you understand, in order for them, and they are known today very well because of what we have been doing. They've been used the space and so on. Now for them to come and know the vulnerabilities of women, standing there to say we are for the repeal of this law is disappointing. It's not about Isatou Touray. It's not about Gamco Trap. It is about how can people be trained, be exposed for you to stand up. You don't believe in what you were doing. Maybe it was because of the resources we are giving. This is what is happening. It's so disappointing. And God will judge. We are in Ramadan. God will judge. I have no qualms. I have no problems. I have been the subject of insult. The organization has been targeted, but we will continue to do the work. We will focus as long as the doors. And one thing that is pleasing is that we have the acceptance from every part of the country, and that is enough for me to continue the work.
So we've talked about derogatory remarks, insults, and so on. One of them, I had, causing and so on, those that are supporting this cause. Don't you feel moved or so?
You see, if you don't believe in God, and you don't believe in it, you see, do you know what is the power of knowledge? That's why they are in read in the name of thy Lord, who knows what you know not. When you are empowered with knowledge, when you are equipped, and you stand on very firm grounds, you cannot be shaken, because I am standing on firm grounds. All those causes, all those insults, all those things that are being done to me will not move me it's not moving me an inch. You know why? Because they are not standing on the truth. God is just, and we are all Allah's creation, and God knows what is just. So if you are doing your cause the person who has troubled you or who has done anything wrong to you. I have not done anything wrong. I have not done anything. I'm trying to help my people. I am endowed with the knowledge because I did my master's thesis on this, and I have very good fitting firm. I'm speaking from a point of authority and knowledge and relevance. So it is not about what they say or whatever cause. They've been doing it for the last 40 years, but I'm still alive. Even if I die, it's not because of them. It's because my time is up. You understand? And whoever is working on this and they curse you, it will not come back to them. It is going to go to them. They've been insulting me, insulting Babali. They've been insulting a lot of people. Isn't it? Now, what has that done to us? We are being elevated by the grace of Allah. And it is our duty and responsibility in this holy month of Ramadan. I'm speaking to God and invoking to God that whatever causes or insult they do, I forgive them. Let God decide and let God protect us and make the work continue. And let the women and girls, young people of this country be free, and let's see progress for them. That's it. So those are traditional ways of threatening people. If you have not done anything, if they curse you, why do you fear? But because the Gambians believe in those fetish things, and they believe that when people who are doing the wrong, can they determine your fate? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who can determine anybody's fate. And you should base anything you do with truth, sincerity, and commitment, and conviction. Whatever mistake you do, you pray to God to forgive you. But stand on the principle of truth, stand on the principle of commitment, and stand on the principle of passion to ensure that the work you are doing will benefit humanity. That's what I am doing.
Final question. We are not yet there, but hopefully we will get up there when the bill is now returned to the National Assembly, when they have already discussed it. What will be the next step of Gambia if the bill should be repealed?
Well, if it is repealed, there are various steps. We are not the only actors now in this thing. There are relevant institutions that will take their responsibility, but we will continue the sensitization. We will continue to do advocacy. We will also share with the people to still continue and see what will happen. But I don't want to, I am not very hopeful. If it is not repealed, it will be a big surprise to me. But the way I see things going and the type of thinking I saw, I don't know whether, and the very same people who are there are going to be sitting on those committees, with the exception of those who are saying that the bill should be maintained. So if it is numbers, we don't know, because there were so many numbers that were not decided. So we don't know what is happening, you understand? And it's another thing. Well, it's resources that is being wasted, because they are going there. Work that has been done. A lot of organizations are working. Let them also go and see and hear. I think the people will be there to listen. Whatever they do, the state is responsible. It's the primary duty bearer. There are organizations who are carved for that. But we will continue our grassroots activism.
So repealing the bill will not stop your work?
Why should we stop it? We will not, because it's about attitudinal change, it's behavioral change, it's a social norm. And it took us 30 years to get the bill, come. You understand? It will never take us another 10 years to ensure that this bill is stabilized. It is going through this crisis because people want to use it as a political tool. That's what people have to understand. Because when it was this thing, very many of them were in the house. They didn't say anything. You understand? Some parliamentarians were there. There were some who were even there when it was repealed. And they were part of when it was being tabled. And they enacted it. So now the contradictions are emerging. What does that tell you? It's lack of respect for women's rights and gender equality, women's empowerment. That is what is happening. And I pray that Allah will help the young people. Allah will help the young people. And let Allah help them to move forward. If not, 200 years backwardness. We have universities going on. So are we not going to look for people who are trained and people who know and people who care about their this thing? You go out there, you talk to the people that write rhetorics, then you get to the position, you forget them and say, let them kill themselves. If it takes me to repeal this bill so that some of them will be happy to get my votes, we will see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's our last question. If you have anything to add.
No, all I want to say is that I want us to promote peace in this country. Peace and peaceful coexistence is very important for this fledgling democracy. We are still not yet a fully fledged democracy. We are just coming from an authoritarian regime. We had to contend with a lot of things, putting them in place, building the systems, building this thing, because I was part of the coalition government. And now that we are trying to move forward and this thing comes, let us promote peace and make sure that we follow procedures. We try as much as possible to ensure that people make research. Let them listen to the educated people. They cannot afford to underrate people who are knowledgeable. You understand? And we must look very carefully. We must look very carefully. Women's rights are human rights. Women constitute over 51% of the population, and they've been contributing to national development. And these are people who are your wives, your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, your friends, your nephews. So what is wrong that is going to bring progress for women that people are going to stand up? Few for that matter. I believe that when they go over there, the truth will prevail. We've done it. Gamco Trap and many other organizations are working. We are going to do what is not going to discourage us. Because this is about hatred for women and girls. It's nothing else. Because we've seen changes happening. Why not for women and girls?
Thank you.